What's up, everybody? It's 4 o'clock where we are right now, and you're back with the Middle School Football Academy. I'm Coach Eddie Young, and with us today we have Coach Jarred Simmons coming all the way from Texas. Coach, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. It's summertime in Texas, which means it's usually hot here. But hey, today was 87, which is a cold front for us. So I'm taking advantage of this great weather and feeling good right now. And just finished up working a middle school camp out in Denton,
Okay.
and it was fun. It was 4 days, and those were all middle school kids. So it was great, being around them and in that environment and just watching them learn the game and grow.
I love it. I love it. So I know you have a great O line presentation lined up for us. I'm going to pull that up and slide on out of your way.
Awesome. Awesome. Hey, coach, are you echoing? Am I sounding okay on your end?
Oh yeah, you're good to me. Yes, sir.
Okay, gotcha. All right, sounds good. Well, again, I'm Coach Simmons. I'm the offensive line coach at Lebanon Trail High School out in Frisco, Texas, which is about 15 minutes outside of Dallas. That's just a little shot of our school right there. It was just recently built back in 2017, so it's still fairly new. We haven't even gone through a decade yet of football over here, so we're still new and we're still coming up, and the kids are excited, and it's Frisco's a big city that's growing, and we got about 7 high schools, so and we are the sixth one that was built. We were built back in 2017, and another Frisco school was just built back in 2021, a couple years ago. So we're the second to last newest school that just got built in that district. That right there, it's Cowboys practice facility out there in Frisco, the Star. That's where the kids get to play at. That pumps the kids up. They get excited being in the same locker rooms and stuff that the Cowboys get to use and everything. So we're real fortunate to be able to have such nice facilities to be a part of on game day and everything. All right, small talk is out the way. Let's talk about what you guys came here to talk about: fundamentals of pass and run blocking. All right. And this is going to be on the middle school level. So fundamentals are going to be really important for you coaches. All right. So this is what I like to tell my offensive line. This is what you got to really drill into your linemen, especially with them being 13 years old, 14 years old. A lot of these kids in middle school probably have never played the game of football in an organized level. Not talking street ball or anything like that, pickup ball. When it comes to organized football, a lot of these kids might be playing for the first time when they enter middle school. And all the times previous, before they got to middle school, they might have just been playing flag or whatever, where they're throwing the ball, catching the ball, doing everything. All right. One of the toughest conversations you're gonna have with some of these kids that are gonna be linemen are saying, hey, I know you might have played this position before. You might have been a receiver, or you might think you're a quarterback, or you might think you're a safety or anything like that. But you've got the body type for a lineman. All right. And they're not going to take it very good. A lot of them aren't going to take it very good. In that middle school camp I was just telling you guys I participated in out there in Denton, I had to have a conversation with the kid like that too. The day one of camp, he thought he was a running back, and we put him at guard. He was actually kind of more of a fullback kind of a kid, but ended up moving him to guard. And by the end of camp, he was actually glad that we moved him there because he was one of our outstanding performers. We got a medal and everything for being one of our outstanding performers. But you got to keep in mind that you're trying to set these kids up for success. You want to get wins on the middle school level, but you also want to make sure you're putting kids in the position they need to be that's going to prepare them for the high school experience as well. So, and a lot of that's going to have some, you're going to have some tough conversations with some kids that want to be skilled players, but they're going to be better suited on the offensive line. And the best way you can break these conversations down with your offensive line, just saying, hey guys, the backs and the receivers and the offensive line, we all work together as a unit. On offense, we're all trying to get from point A to point Z, all the way from one side of the field into the end zone. All right. We're all the same vehicle. All right. The backs and the receivers, they're the eye candy. All right. This is what you see when you see the backs and the receivers. All right. A nice showroom kind of feel of a vehicle right there. All right, but guess what? This thing ain't going nowhere without this right here. All right, that's the offensive line right here. We get these guys where they got to go. They go nowhere without us. All right, you have got to make these kids feel like they are the most important kids on the field, because that's going to be the one thing they're going to have that's going to want to push them and drive them to want to keep playing hard for you. Now, there's going to be some kids, I've had a couple that they're going to want to gravitate to being an offensive lineman because they're just naturally physical and just want to hit people. And you're going to have some of those, but they're going to also have a lot of kids that are going to be crushed, being told that they're not going to be able to touch the ball and score touchdowns. And you've got to be able to break down the importance of how crucial the offensive line spot is. All right. And that's just an analogy I like to use. And once you drill that to them in that particular way, they tend to take it better that they're going to be on the offensive line. All right. And I promise we're going to talk the fundamentals of run blocking and pass blocking, but I just want to share a few, traits and, just psychological stuff with you guys first before we get into all that. All right. These are just the 4 traits I look for in offensive linemen. You got to be selfless. You got to be willing to do anything and everything for the benefit of the team. You might have to move from left guard 1 week to right tackle next week. I tell my kids, you are not a right guard if you play right guard. You are not a center if you play center. If you play on the offensive line, you are an offensive lineman, period. Not right tackle, not left tackle, not right guard, center, left guard. If you play with your hand on the ground on offense, you are expected to know all 5 spots. All right. You may not be able to snap, but that's okay. But you need to at least know both guard spots, both tackle spots. All right. Hardest working group. We have got to be the hardest working group because we got the hardest working job. We got the hardest, job on the field. All right. We got to lead by example and we got to lead by attitude. All right. People naturally gravitate towards the quarterbacks because, he's the guy that runs the offense or whatever. But offensive linemen, we got to be the hardest working guys in the field, and we got to get people to follow our lead. All right. I tell them all the time, when you're in the huddle, we got to be the ones that's getting everybody excited in the huddle, everyone to focus. We got to be encouraging everybody in the huddle. We got to be sure everyone else is on their game. The backs and receivers, they feed off the O-line's energy. I don't care what anybody says. When they see the O-line getting excited, ready to hit somebody, that's going to want to make those receivers run their routes harder. It's going to want to make the running back run harder. It's going to want to make the quarterback make his reads a little better. All right. All the energy comes from us. If you'll excuse me a second, Coach. It looks like my screen is freezing up. I'm trying to get to my next slide here. Just bear with me for a second.
It's all good, Coach. Which slide do you need to be on?
Okay. There we go. I'm sorry, Coach. There we go. So I'm going to get to the 5 strong here, but I left out confidence and nasty. Confidence and nasty. Those are also 2 other traits that I look for. Believing that you can destroy whoever's in front of you, no matter how big they are than you. Believing that you can do it, and nasty, just being able to maul the defender. All right. You can still you can be a good offensive lineman without necessarily being nasty. But in my style of football, the way we like to run the ball down here in Texas, we like to see guys on the ground. Driving them out the way is fine, but we like to see you finish them and plant them on the ground. All right. 5 strong. That's how we that's what we break every day in our practice. For our O-line, when we're in together in individual, doing group work, and before we join team, we always break out on 5 strong. And there's a reason we use 5 strong. All right. It represents the 5 positions, obviously, but there's a standard that comes with being an offensive lineman. And these are the 5 points that we want to try and be strong at every single day in practice, which is going to contribute to our success. All right. We set the tempo every single day. Every single day we set the tempo. All right. That, as I was talking about earlier, the rest of the guys in the offense have to feed off your O-line's energy. All right. You can't be in the huddle like, being nonchalant and just being just kind of going with the flow. We got to set the tempo, and we got to get everybody else feeding off our energy. All right. Attention to detail. This is another thing that is really got to be put our 100%, 100% into attention to detail. All right. So I've seen corners move to safety. I've seen safeties move to linebacker. I've seen linebackers move to defensive end. I've seen defensive ends move to defensive tackles. I've seen defensive tackles move to offensive line. But guys, when you get to offensive line, that is it. Like, as far as athleticism goes, we're at the bottom of the barrel. We have got to have attention to detail because everybody we block is going to be more athletic than us. That's just the way it is. Every little thing matters. For every step we take, every angle we take, the way we place our hands, the way we move our feet, every little thing matters because we're already athletically outmatched by just about everybody on defense. That's the cold, harsh reality. All right. Von Miller, who's also here from Texas, a really good defensive end in the NFL. In high school, the man won state in track, running track, and won gold. All right. These are the type of guys that we are expected to block while we're moving backwards and while they're moving forward. All right. Blocking someone like that while they're moving forward and you're moving backwards, you have got to have attention to detail because you're already going to be at an athletic disadvantage. So your kick, the way you move, every single thing matters to neutralize that person. All right. Have each other's back. All right. Like I was talking about, like I was mentioning to you before earlier, Coach, before we got the call going. A football team is already a family. An offensive line is like a family within a family. All right. It's a brotherhood. It's an actual brotherhood. You're going to bond together on and off the field, have each other's back, build that cohesiveness, and always have each other's back no matter what, on the field, off the field, wherever, because you guys are going to be going to war every day with each other. All right. When I got married, two of my groomsmen were offensive linemen I played with, and I still stay in touch with several of them to this day. All right. It's more than just football with offensive linemen. You have each other's backs, and you're willing to do whatever you can to help each other on and off the field. Be physically and mentally tough. All right, that goes without saying. All right, we just have a very demanding job, and it requires you to really concentrate and not lose physicality at the same time. There's going to be times, late in the fourth quarter when you've been really just wearing somebody out, or they might have been wearing you out, and you might jump off sides by accident. All right, that's where mental toughness comes in. All right, when you get tired, are you still able to focus while you're battling somebody else? All right, at 100% effort. If you loaf, you don't care about this team. You cannot ease up until the whistle is blown. All right, do not loaf. Always keep your feet moving till you hear the whistle. All right, the whistle does not stop the play. The whistle finishes your block. That's what I tell my guys. The whistle does not stop the play. It finishes your block. All right. So for you line coaches out there, before we get started into our actual conversations, I would have something like this for you guys to look at so they understand the numbering system and the gap system. All right. You don't want, offensive linemen not knowing where the 3 technique is, or where the shade is, or where the 4 is, or where the 5 is, or not knowing where the B gap is, or where the D gap is. All right. These are all fundamental things that they need to know. So in situations when you're watching film and things like that, you can say, hey, look, what's the 5 technique doing on this play? And they'll know exactly what you're talking about. Or what's the 0 doing on this play? They'll know exactly what you're talking about. It's just going to make life easier for you. It's going to make life easier for you as a coach and for your kids. All right. So, and again, everything you see on this presentation, you guys can have. You want to talk to me offline, I'm more than happy to share everything I have with you. Everything I got is y'all's as well if you guys want it. All right, so these are the things that we're going to be touching on as we start the run game part of this presentation. All right, these are the main things we're going to be hitting on right here. Stance, footwork steps, fit, drive, and finish. Those are all things we take very seriously. Where I'm at Lebanon Trail High School. That's pretty much the foundation of our run game right there. And let's get into it. Stance. All right. You want to emphasize to your offensive lineman that your stance needs to be balanced to where you can move in any direction. All right. You want to be able to load that drive foot to produce force. All right. Every day at practice, stances it needs to be an everyday thing. Work on your stances. It's not going to feel natural for a lot of those kids because, like I said before, a lot of them have never played ball before. All right. They're going to line up like defensive linemen. They're going to line up like they're going to be in a track stance. They're going to line up. I've even seen some middle school offensive linemen getting a 3-point with their knee on the ground. I mean, some of these kids just aren't going to understand what a true 3-point stance is going to feel like. So make sure that you're spending quality time every day and individual with your O-line working on stances. And as far as my preference goes, and this is just me, I feel that middle school offensive linemen, and this is just me, again, like I said, it's no right or wrong, but I feel middle school offensive linemen need to have their hand in the dirt. I see a lot of middle school kids that stand up in a 2-point. I just don't. I think as a middle school kid, they need to learn the basics. They need to have their hand in the dirt on the ground. And then as they progress, when they get to high school, then of course the game gets a little faster. Then they can, be in a 2-point if they want to. But I truly believe in middle school, it needs to be a 3-point. Everyone feet shoulder width apart, and you want to have about 60% of weight on your hand. You don't want to have too much weight on your hand because you want to stay balanced. You want to be able to move forward. You want to be able to move backwards. And you want to be able to move laterally. All right. So have a good, solid, nice, balanced stance. All right. And as we get through all these bullet points, I'll show you guys some video clips, and you'll see some examples of everything that we're talking about, including the stance and the footwork and everything else. All right. Number 2, the footwork and steps. All right. I don't know exactly what you guys might have where you are to, as far as resources goes to help your offensive line work on their steps. We have boards. You don't even necessarily need boards. I've seen coaches use towels. I've seen them use cones. I've seen them use pipes. Anything you can, or I've even seen them use hash marks, using the hash marks in the football field. These are just some zone steps that we have, and we practice our steps every day over our boards. The first step you see here, the 45 lead step, you'll see this is what we use on our inside zone here. All right. You'll see this quite a bit when I show you guys some clips. All right. And right here, the 45, a flat 45 step and pick and point, that's our inside zone. All right. These are the 2 steps that we both use. More so, number 2 is going to be more of the inside zone. Number 1 is going to be more outside, even though it can still work for inside as well. The only thing that's just going to change is just the aiming point. All right. And we'll get into the aiming point later on in this discussion. All right. As a matter of fact, I think that's going to be the next slide. No, that's actually more footwork here, but the aiming points are coming up. The lead step, that's what you would use in pretty much in a base block. If someone's lined up head up on you and the ball's going right behind you, that's going to be the footwork right there. And again, all these diagrams that's here on the slides, if you guys want access to these, or if you need copies of these, I'm more than happy to share all of this with you to give you guys some resources. The bucket step here, when we're going wide zone, this is the steps that they would use. The board will be placed at an angle right there, simulating that you got to reach somebody that's way out here. And this is where you want to get fitted up. You want these feet to be exactly right where they are. Right there, the 0 near step, same. It's another way of base blocking somebody. Step in place with your right foot, and then you just go vertical with your left foot, or you can switch it, go vice versa. All right. Now, I apologize for moving so fast, guys. I'm trying not to get over time here. And again, if anybody wants to reach out to me offline, I'm more than willing to talk to anybody about all of this again, or even expanding on everything I'm talking about. All right. The fit, the eyes and helmet must be on the correct aiming point. All right. You want your posture to be chest up, and you want your back arched. You want your hands and you want your elbows tight to your ribs. You want your hands tight with your thumbs up. All right. So if we were going outside zone right here, everything I said about the posture, the way you want to be fitted up on, you would apply all of that to number one right here. That's his outside V. We have three targets here, the outside, the middle, and the inside. If this is wide zone here, this center right here is expected to be able to get outside right here where number one is, where this number one is. His hat needs to be right there. All right. And all the footsteps that I just showed you guys in those diagrams, if you rep that continuously, all your offensive linemen will be able to make these type of blocks here. All right. Now, if he's just a base block here, his helmet just needs to be right where it is. It could just be right here where we're on the number two. All right. He doesn't have to really do much. The nose is pretty much already in position right where we want him. He's not going to make us work to get at an angle or anything. All right. The center's already in a good spot to make this block, as far as getting fitted up on the nose. All right. And if we're going inside here, 3, he's still in a good spot here to make a block because the 3 is right here, and that's pretty much almost where his helmet is. All right. So if we're running outside zone or wide zone or stretch, toss, or anything, number one, that fit right there is probably going to be the hardest block for him to make because he's going to have to move and he's got to get from here, that hat right here, to right there. And I can tell you right now, as soon as the ball is snapped, these guys aren't wasting no time. They're flowing. All right. So you're going to have to get on your horse and you're going to have to move. You got to stress that to your guys. If they're going to try and reach somebody, they have got to really move to get there. All right. In the backside of wide zone, you want to coach that up almost like you want your guys in the backside to pull. That's how fast you want those guys moving. All right. The drive. All right. Now that we fit it up onto our defender, now we got to drive him. All right. We drive our defender by having our feet and our toes slightly pointed out, and we want to pound the inseams. All right. Lower body, knees inside with a board base. All right. And hips and upper body, we want to roll our hips. We want to rotate our shoulders to force the thumbs out, and we want to lift. All right. It's almost going to be like a forklift. All right. A perfect drive is when the offensive lineman gets engaged with the defender, both his hands are together like this, thumbs up in the chest of the defender, and it's almost like a forklift. All right. Imagine a forklift picking up boxes and putting them on a shelf. That's what you want to see out of a drive. You want to see them get fitted up in the defender's chest, hands tight, both thumbs up. And as soon as you engage and get a good drive, then you want to lift them up. All right. And once you get to that point, it should lead you to this right here. Finish. All right. If you get an opportunity to plant somebody on the ground, take advantage of it, man, because they're hard to come by. All right. Those are our sacks. That's our version of getting a sack. All right. You want to try and get as many as you can. And make sure you're doing it the right way, though. Thing is, when you show a middle school kid this, like if you show a middle school this kid this picture, in their mind, they're gonna think when the ball snapped, I gotta tackle this guy to get him on the ground. We gotta reinforce how we block. Because I can tell you right now, a lot of kids see this picture in their mind, they're thinking they're gonna have to grab and yank and pull and do all of that to get this guy on the ground. All right, we're offensive linemen. All right. We can do this to people, but there's a certain way we have to go about it. We can't just throw them down and tackle them and things like that. We got to apply all of our drive principles to the defender so we can get him moving back. And once we lift, that's why the lift is so crucial in the drive block. Once you get them into that lift position, they really start losing balance, and they become easier for you to control, so you can take them down to the ground. All right, so that's really all the principles that we want to incorporate in our run game, as far as, run blocking, those 5 major points that we talked about right there. And I'll show them again. Stance, footwork, steps, fit, drive, and finish. All right. These are the 5 main things you want to be sure you're brushing up on and really trying to reinforce to your kids while they're at practice or, scrimmaging or even on the sideline during games. This never gets old. All right. This needs to be everyday stuff right here. All right. This is what we live on in the run game. All right. And for their footsteps, make sure they're just not going through the motions. All right, some kids will just go through the motions just to get through the drill. All right, you need to reinforce and let these kids know that your first step is going to take you to your aiming point. That's why your first step is so critical. All right, make sure when the ball is snapped, your first step is taking you where you got to go. You can't false step. You can't step underneath yourself. There can't be any wasted motion in your steps. You have got to take a hard, good step to wherever you got to go, whatever that step might be. You got to take that step appropriately to get to where you got to go. Because, guys, you can't recover. If you start off bad as an offensive lineman, if your first step is bad, you might as well just stop right there and wait for the next play, because you've hurt yourself. All right, everything has to be done perfectly. Like I was telling you guys before, attention to details. All right, if you're running wide zone and you take your first step as an inside zone step, you can't try and make up for that on your second step and say, okay, I'm going to try on my second step to get it outside. So it doesn't work like that. All right, you got to make sure your steps are putting you in the right position. Your first step takes you to your aiming point, and your second step it must be vertical and it must be in the ground, because at that point you're at your aiming point getting ready to start driving. All right, your steps have got to be made with a purpose. When we do our drills every day with our boards, I have them pound their feet into the ground. I suggest doing the same thing. All right, drive, feel that push and that force off the ground as you're doing that. All right, and finish. All right, all of these are absolutely crucial for your offensive lineman. Make sure you simulate something every single day that's going to allow you to excel at all 5 of these things right here. And once you excel at all 5 of those, I truly believe you'll have a great offensive line that can do some great things for you. All right. Now, this is also something that I make sure my guys understand here is defensive front identification. All right. I do have my center ID the defense, and that's middle school and high school. Even though I'm a high school O-line coach, when I coach middle school O-line, I expected my centers to understand defenses, to understand the fronts. All right. Be sure you educate them. Be sure you show them things like this so they can know what to look for and know how you guys ID. I don't know about you, Coach. I know down here in Texas, it's been a lot of 3-4. There's a lot of 4-2-5. What's out there in y'all's way that you see a lot of out there?
Yeah, the 3-4 basically turns into a 5-2.
Okay. Okay.
A lot of 4-4, 4-2-5.
Gotcha. Okay. I was just curious. What you see here is kind of a good bit of what we see here, but mostly, we see a lot of odd stack. That seems to be the thing too lately. 3-3, odd stack, and we get a good bit of that. And again, just whatever. You don't got to get crazy with this, guys. I know this might seem overwhelming to some people. But guys, just whatever teams that are in your respective district, whatever they run, that's all you need to. Those are the defenses you need to know. All right, don't overwhelm your kids. They're middle school. Just make sure they know the defenses they need to know. All right, but make sure they know all of this though. The defenses that you're going to see, make sure they know that, because rules change slightly. They can slightly change depending on what the defense does. So it's important that they do understand the differences between each defense. All right. So I'm going to be talking to you guys a little bit about the inside zone, and then we'll get to pass pro really fast. And like I was saying before, I do have my center ID, the front. He'll identify the mic. And when we run our zones, we have combo calls. Now, I suggest whatever calls, whatever terminology you want to use for your offensive line, make sure it's something that it's easy and that they can remember. All right. For us, in our zone scheme, whenever the tight end and the tackle is working together, we call that eat. Whenever a tackle and a guard is working together, we call that tag. Whenever a center and guard is working together, we call that cage. All right. So let me show you guys a little thing right here. So this is how we run inside zone right here. All right. This is what we call it, 14 or whatever, inside zone right. All right. So it's against a 3-4 because this is what we see a lot of more than anything here. All right. So if you look right here at the right tackle and the right guard, they're both combo blocking this head up 4 to this Mike backer right here. All right. So let's say the Mike backer here is number 25. All right. I don't care who it is, the tackle or the guard, or it could be both of them. They're going to say tag 25, tag 25. So they know when the ball is snapped, they're both working to that end right here to number 25, which is this Mike linebacker. All right. That's the rules right here. We always work inside. We always work inside. All right. So that's how our guys they should never get confused on which backer to pick up. All right. They know they're working inside. All right. So back here with the center and the guard, you would have a cage. All right. Let's say Will right here is number 34. All right. Center and guard are both yelling cage 34, cage 34. And then they're going to work here from the nose up to this backside Will linebacker right here. All right. Now, with the left tackle here, this is where it gets a little interesting on the middle school level. All right. High school level, we have our tackle do what we call a sift block. All right. Where he jabs the defensive end and slowly climbs his way up to the backside linebacker just in case that running back wants to bend back. All right. Now, the thing is, we all know high school defensive linemen tend to be more disciplined. All right. On the middle school level, you're going to see a lot of guys not staying on the heel line. So if you leave this guy unblocked, it's a good chance he could run up the field and make the play, even though, the play's not designed for this guy to get blocked. He could still impact the play somehow, even though the ball's being ran away from him. All right. So be sure that, you and the QB's coach or whoever's on the same page, make sure you guys have some kind of plan to where you're reading the end or booting or something after you hand the ball off. Because some teams, they do a true handoff and they just, hope for the best and leave this guy alone right here. I wouldn't really suggest that. I mean, you could sift, block him for a second or two and then release to the backer, but don't let him get a clean release. All right. And really, more often than not, if he's a head up four, chances are he's going to try and go inside. So if that's the case, this tackle is going to be on this head up four. And he's more than likely going to wash him down anyway. All right. Let's see here. Okay. So that's it for that so far. Let me go on ahead and let me get to my share screen up here so I can get you guys a look at some footage. All right.
It freeze on you, Coach?
Are you able to see, Coach?
Let me see here. That's your huddle right there?
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. All right. Yep, you're good to go.
All right, good deal. All right. So we got inside zone here. All right, let's take a look at the left tackle here. He's going up to that linebacker. I am not too crazy about the angle he took to get there. All right, guys, you got to tell your offensive lineman again. All right, this guy right here in a race, I'm putting my money on this guy every time. All right, I love this kid. He's a good kid, but he's not going to beat him in a race. All right, so if we're running inside zone, going straight at him isn't the best idea. You need to get a better angle so you can get head up on him or to that inside shoulder right there. All right. He does a good job. He gets up to him, and he gets his hands on him, but his angle is so bad. He's blocking him in the back right there almost, or he actually is blocking him in the back. He's got to take a much better angle than that right there. So that's not a very good job at all right there. And then also, it looks like I think I'm just now catching this. It looks like he's actually even lined up in the backfield. You look at that left foot. Look at his left foot. See how far back it is. Yeah, he's in the backfield right here. All right. You just gotta love the drone for little stuff like this. But anyway, that was not a very good job here by the left tackle. Not a very, very good job here at all. Left guard. He does a good job of getting fitted up on the backer, but he kind of gets late. He stays on him. He does a pretty good job staying on him. I'm not too crazy about his angle either. It could be a little flatter, but it's definitely better than what the left tackle was. He's able to actually get a piece of him and stay on him. You see him, his angle needs to be better because, again, he was blocking that linebacker almost in the back is what it looked like. So angles has got, like I said, guys, every little thing matters. Angles matter. All right. Center here actually does a pretty decent job. I just didn't like his first step. Look at his first step here. He's stepping underneath himself. That's a wasted motion right there. I would have liked to have seen him pick his foot up and put it right back down outside to the right. But he just kind of stepped underneath himself right there. Almost looked like he's going back, like he's setting up for a pass block almost. Now that I really look at it. So we need to be going forward. We need to be going vertical. All right. He's starting off almost like a pass pro. So we can't be passive in a run block. All right. We got to come off the ball and hit these guys in the mouth. All right. We got to be aggressive. All right. Let's take a look at the right guard here. Can't do it much better than that. That's a great job by the right guard. Does a good job taking a step and getting fitted up on the linebacker. That's the position that he needs to be right there. That's perfect. That's perfect. But a perfect block by one lineman when three other guys aren't doing so good doesn't make up for anything. All right. And he does a great job. But what I like about his first step is he steps hard inside first, just in case this guy wants to slant. He's here to pick him up, and then the tackle will go up to the linebacker. But that's a really good job here on the right guard. I think I slow-moed it somehow. I was not trying to do that. Here we go. Right tackle, we got to get our pad level down too high. You cannot block anyone being that high up. Just can't be done. Now he's able to hold his zone. He's able to do well because the guy is just half his size, and he's kind of able to punk him and bully him. But it's not always going to be like that. When you go against somebody that matches your size, matches your strength and your physicality, if you throw technique out the window, then you're done. All right. So no matter how big or small the person is, technique always has to be the same and has to be consistent. All right. I'm looking at the time right now, and for the sake of time, I'm going to go ahead and get to the pass pro section of this really quick, y'all. I didn't realize I was yapping that long. All right. Let me get back to this here. All right. Trying to get my slides back up, Coach.
I got you. No problem.
Boom. All right. Thank you, sir. All right. So pass pro. All right. Stance and hands. How many kick steps, relationship, and posture. All right. These are the things that we're going to be talking about very quickly here in pass pro. All right. Be sure your kids understand the pocket. That's first and foremost. Make sure they understand how the pocket works and what their role in the pocket is. All right. The center and both the guards, they set the wall at the line of scrimmage, and the tackles, they extend the wall. All right. That is the pocket. All right. The tackles, they extend the wall. The center and the guard, they set the wall at the line of scrimmage. All right. That's how the pocket is supposed to look. That's how it's supposed to work. Now, obviously, if these guys want to rush differently, we might be positioned differently. But all in all, if they're just gonna have 2 5s out here and a nose in the shade, and they're just gonna stay true to their gaps, that's how the pocket should look every time with good protection. All right, stance and hands. All right, stance and hands is real crucial. All right, feet, they got to be ready to drive off the opposite foot and catch with your kick foot. All right, be balanced and be ready to move in all directions. All right, your hips, you got to square up your hips once you set your feet to load your lower body with power. All right, and your hands, just like run blocking. All right, hands are going to be up like here, thumbs up in the air, elbows tight, wrists together. All right, that's how our stance and hands need to be. All right, as we get ready to attack and as we get ready to strike these guys. All right, kick steps. That's really going to be determined on what kind of offense you guys run. I know when I was in middle school, everything we did in the pass game was quick game. So everything was just one kick for us. All right. We couldn't do 5 steps. We couldn't do 7 steps. We just didn't have any quarterbacks that had strong enough arms to make throws that far. So we didn't have to kick 2 or 3 steps back, pass pro wise. Everything was just a quick set, a 1 step. All right. So as far as that goes, that's going to be between you guys and your respective play callers or your head coaches or OCs, whoever's in charge of the play calling offensively. That's the conversation that you guys can have based on what your quarterback's ability is. Relationship. All right. When it comes to our pass pro, our relationship is going to be a handshake. You're ready to strike the defender when you guys are in handshake relationship. It's about handshake distance from each other. All right. When you guys get that close, you're ready to strike him. All right. As far as my tackles go, we maintain a half-man relationship to the defender, and we go knee to crotch. Your outside knee is in the defender's crotch because we don't want to give up the inside. So we play half a man. Center and guards, you guys are going to cover the defenders up. You need to be head up, covering up the defender. All right, posture. You want to maintain your stagger. You want your chest up you want his chest up while you're sitting in the chair. You want your hands ready to punch, elbows tight, thumbs above your chest, hands close together. And it's almost like, imagine you're holding your phone up like this and you're texting somebody. All right, that's kind of how you want your posture to be when you're pass blocking, getting ready to punch. All right, you want to have those hands up, ready to strike. All right, do not give your chest to the defender. All right, because they will take advantage of it. All right, you can be vulnerable to a bull rush if you don't have your hands up ready to protect yourself. All right, and let me get to this last little. Let me show you guys a little something here on Huddle. Get to the pass pro of this. Present screen. And again, guys, my time's almost up. But again, like I said, I want to show you guys or talk offline, share anything you guys might want to see. Again, that I kind of was blazed by. I have no problem sharing this stuff with anybody. Now that I'm back in Huddle, let me get to this. Having an issue here trying to get to my next play.
Coach, you said you're trying to get to your huddle.
This was awesome. Other run game stuff I was going to show, but I'm pressed for time. Here we go, guys. Let me show you some. This is at practice, doing some pass pro here. Left tackle did a horrible job because he never punched him. See, do not tell your guys to catch. All right, we're not catching. All right, pass blocking. It may look like from outside looking in that the guy on defense is running and the O lineman is just catching him, letting him run in his arms. That is not the case. All right, we are punching these guys. He just catches him and he just kind of runs. Now, we said that the offensive lineman, the tackles. All right, we want that outside knee in the middle of the crotch. If you see where his foot is now, it's way outside the defender. It's not in the middle of his crotch. It's way outside the defender, which is what allowed him to open up the inside. The quickest way to the quarterback is inside. All right, you cannot give up the inside like that. Don't be so anxious to kick so far out. All right, if he wanted to keep his outside foot in the middle of the defender's crotch, he just had to kick straight back. He didn't have to do a vertical set, or he had to do an angle 45 set. He could have just kicked right back. He went at an angle when he didn't need to. All right, and he could have jumped him if he really wanted to. When a defensive end with 5 technique is lined up that tight, you don't gotta be in a hurry to get outside. You can even jump him, quick set him. All right, but that's not a very good job right there by the left tackle. Not a good job at all. Now, at the end, the guard was lunging, all right? I do not like you can't lunge. You got to keep your head out of the block, all right? If you put your head in the block, then that's what can happen. The defender can yank you and pull you down. All right, you can't be a waist bender. All right, and another thing that the guard did that I don't particularly like is he set too far back for my like. That's too far back in my opinion for a guard to set. All right, we're setting on the line of scrimmage. All right, there's no reason for him to get this far back. I mean, in a game, this is probably almost where the quarterback's going to be lined up right there. All right, don't lose that much ground. All right, that's just too far back for the guard. He did a good job with his hands. I do like his hand placement. I like the way he was working his hands, and he did a good job punching. At the end, he got caught with his head down. All right, and when you get caught lunging like that, that's what's going to happen. You're going to be bent over on the ground like that. All right, gentlemen, I've gone over my time, and I apologize to you, coach, for that. But for anybody who is wanting to get any more information that they feel that they need from me, then I'm more than willing to give you guys anything that you need. Coach, if you could get my slides back up. I got my last slide up there. I've got my contact information. If anybody wants to take any of that down, you can, man. What a world we live in, man. You can call me, you can email me, you can DM me, you can tweet me, you can send me smoke signals. I mean, if you want to reach me, you can find me, man. So again, man, sorry I kind of had to rush through all of this, but if I'm willing to talk to you guys whenever or for however long you want me to, or we can go in more detail to talk about all of this. It is kind of like Cliff Notes, but man, I can get as deep as you guys want me to, and if you guys want to reach out to me.
Coach, this was an excellent presentation, and you gave us a lot to consider, a lot of little tips that will help along the way. My last closing question is something that I've been trying to ask today. Is looking at this, because especially with you as a former middle school coach, for our guys who are watching this, if there is one thing that you want them to take away from this presentation, one thing that they absolutely must do with their offensive line, what is that one thing?
You gotta love them, man. You gotta love on them, man, because you're not gonna get that from anybody else. You as your O-line coach, when you're in the film room, and it's just little things. You don't gotta do anything crazy over the top. We would watch film in the morning. I would have donuts for me. Just little things like that. During halftime during the game, I would have Snicker bars for them, just to kind of fuel themselves for the second half. And again, I mean, I hate to buy into the stereotype of lineman, all we do is eat. But I mean, guys, if you got an O line, man, you want to show them kids how much you love them, man, feed them, man. Take them out, hang out with them, and be more than a coach. Just actually show genuine interest in what it is that they like to do outside of football. Sometimes when I played middle school football, we had offensive linemen that would come in the locker room carrying their instruments because they were in the band too. And I'll just say, hey, so how things going with you in the band? Just small conversation, and hold that same accountability that you have with them on the field that you do in the classroom. That'll show them that they really care. I can just walk up to one of my linemen and say, hey, math teacher told me he was late again today. That's 2 days this week. I want to hear that again. Yes, sir. All right. Just little conversations like that. Just to show them that you care. And if you talk to these guys and just love them and actually show interest in their lives, that doesn't necessarily correlate with football, they'll run through a wall for you.
I love it. I absolutely love it, Coach. Hey, Coach Simmons, thank you so very much. Everybody who's been watching, really appreciate y'all hanging out. We'll be back in about 10 minutes with our next presentation. See y'all next time. Bye-bye.
All right. See you guys. Thank you, Coach.